What's up, guys? Hope you're all doing well. Now today, I wanted to talk about an unmade film in the Heisei series. This is the last monster Godzilla almost wound up fighting right before he died. After the oxygen destroyer was used to kill the original Godzilla in 1954, a prehistoric creature that lived in the sea named Barubaroi would be born. The oxygen destroyer would mutate it with the ability to transform into other monsters by adapting their traits through shape-shifting abilities. It would undergo a lot of transformations during the plot of the unmade Godzilla vs. Barubaroi, which was supposed to come out as a sequel to Space Godzilla and the end of the Heisei continuity of Godzilla films. This monster being the ultimate challenge and far beyond anything he'd ever fought before. Now, what makes this unrealized creature so interesting is the way in which Toho had planned to design him, because judging by the concept art for the film, Barubaroi was basically going to be this gigantic blob creature with a main head that resembled a whale. Probably channeling a little bit of Biollante there, but it would also have other heads on both sides of its body, which you could say may have even been a bit of an homage to King Ghidorah. Now, apparently, this thing was supposed to have eyes covering its entire body, and the skin was supposed to be modeled off of monsters like Biollante and even Hedorah, believe it or not. Honestly, a lot of different forms were drawn up for the monster, and Barubaroi was kind of supposed to continue changing up until the movie's climax, in a very similar way to other creatures we've seen before in these movies, but we'll get more into that later. For now, just know that the monster had dorsal spines similar to Godzilla, along with a big tail and the ability to transform like some sort of shape-shifting alien from John Carpenter's The Thing. Now, this whole project came about after Toho had decided to go ahead and make one last film in their second continuity of Godzilla movies before TriStar was supposed to kick off their own franchise with the 1998 Hollywood film. Older plans had been for Godzilla to literally take on the ghost of the 1954 original creature that was killed from the oxygen destroyer, but after discarding that idea, the company wanted to take the movie in a direction where the final opponent actually had elements of that oxygen destroyer weapon in its origin story. So the plan was to basically let Godzilla fight this creature named Barubaroi, who would carry over some of the elements from the Godzilla vs. Ghost Godzilla script, such as the imitation of the quote Anguirus Hound creature that I've mentioned before in the past, while also bridging the Heisei series of Godzilla films back to the original without necessarily having the monster fight the ghost of that older creature from the past. And while not too much is known about the overall direction this film would have gone in, we do know that both Godzilla and his son would have taken on Barubaroi on much more than one occasion, with some concept art even revealing the creature looking like this, which I'm sure many of you will agree looks remarkably similar to a certain other creature that they did wind up eventually introducing to the public. The monster I'm talking about is of course Destoroyah, who was pretty much called Destroyer a lot back in the day due to its relation to the oxygen destroyer being big, but anyways, a little bit of the Barubaroi script got tweaked, a new monster made, and that's basically the story of how we all got to see Godzilla vs. Destoroyah, the final film in that continuity of movies that ended with the nuclear death of Godzilla after his heart began a meltdown and the world was threatened with a cataclysmic end. I think it's safe to say that while we never got Barubaroi, a lot of the monster's story elements did eventually show up in the final film they made, which is pretty cool in my personal opinion because I actually really like the designs for the different forms of Destoroyah, and while he doesn't shapeshift into other monsters, the designs they actually gave him are still pretty cool, and in keeping with the whole oxygen destroyer backstory, I think it ties both movies together in a pretty strong way. So Godzilla vs. Ghost Godzilla, Godzilla vs. Deep Sea Life, and Godzilla vs. Barubaroi were all just a handful of ideas that they could have made for the 7th Heisei film, and I know sometimes you guys are like, well, is there any more information you can find about it, Clayton? I'm really interested in this stuff, but honestly, I'm going as deep as you possibly can at this point. I know that Godzilla vs. Deep Sea Life was something that a lot of you are really interested in, myself included, but you gotta understand, for the last Heisei movie, they were throwing so many ideas at the wall and barely any of them translated into Destoroyah. So what you're seeing here is basically all there is unless something else comes out down the line. Still, there is all of this extensive concept art for something that would have been far more elaborate had it got made back in 1995, but with TriStar's big Hollywood remake on the way, I can see how Toho would just want to trim the script back a bit and wait to see what the American film would do for their property. Anyways, guys, guys, these are all just my own thoughts on the subject matter. What do you think about this unmade film? And are you a fan of the one they eventually produced with Destoroyah? Barubaroi was a pretty cool idea, and I would like to see something like that in the future, but I think the final product was fine in my own personal opinion. With that being said, whatever your own thoughts and opinions happen to be, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below.